All right, Derrick.
Fellow Toastmasters, welcome to the greatest international speech contest of District 57. Today, you will witness 9 speakers with a combined Toastmastering experience of over 62 years. The fruits of their practice, hard work, and determination shall be unleashed. Witness their unique styles, distinct voices, and powerful messages that will keep you at the edge of the seat and fill you with awe and wonder. Sit back, hold tight, and prepare for an epic showdown unlike any other. Who shall win the ultimate prize and get crowned the champion of the District 57 International Speech Contest? Without further ado, allow me to invite our Zoom tech host to go over the meeting logistics. David Dye.
Thank you very much, Derrick, for opening up tonight's contest. Here are a few meeting rules before we begin. During the contest, it is incredibly important that everyone is muted, both for sound and video, so the contestant can be seen and heard without distraction. So please take a moment to mute yourself, turn off your video. Thank you. All participants should have been muted by default as you entered. Please verify that your line is muted. One more time, audio and video. Also, while contestants are giving their speeches, only the speaker's video and the timer's video are allowed by Toastmasters International to be turned on. We will remind individuals to turn their videos off. Once failure to stop your video may mean that your video will be turned off by the tech host and you will be unable to turn it back on through the remainder of the contest. That's very, very severe. Please do not hold up any signs or change your Zoom profile picture to cheer any contestants during the contest. And please rename yourself. No photographs, screenshots, or video recording are allowed during the contestant speeches except with advanced approval from the contest chair. So I'm recording this whole event to the cloud, and Hans, our chief judge, is recording the whole event to his computer. So at the end, we need to send the video to the contest, Toastmaster International of the winner from our district. Now, with that, I'm going to pass the control to our contest chair. Please join me in welcoming our contest chair for the event, Deborah Wiener.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to our District 57 2023 International Speech Contest. What an exciting agenda we have tonight. I would like to recognize all guests for supporting our contest. In addition, I'd like to recognize those Toastmasters in attendance who serve outside of their clubs. They are our leaders in service. Our international district leaders, our chairpersons, division and area directors, our regional or international officers, our past regional or international officers, our D57 district director, Carolyn Douglas, our D57 district program director, Ed Cullen, our D57 district club growth director, Sally Philpin, our past district directors, governors, Ashley Harkness, and our division directors and area directors. If I've missed anybody, please raise your hand. Our District 57 International Speech Contest first place winner goes on to compete in the Toastmasters International Speech Contest. If our first place winner makes it to the first round, they will compete at the International Conference Contest in the Bahamas between August 16th through the 19th, 2023. Our Toastmaster for tonight's contest is Ashley Harkness.
Thank you, Deborah, and thank you very much. I'm calling on the Chief Judge, Hans Thoma. Have all of the contestants, judges, and ballot counters been briefed, and are the contestants eligible to compete?
Yes, they are.
Thank you very much, Chief Judge. It is time to begin the International Speech Contest. In this contest, we'll hear an original 5 to 7 minute speech from each contestant. In practical terms, a speech must be at least 4 minutes and 30 seconds and run no longer than 7 minutes and 30 seconds. As before, there will be 1 minute of silence after each contestant for the judges to mark their ballots. After the final contestant, I'll ask for silence until the judges finish ranking the contestants and the counters have collected the ballots. I'll again ask if they can hear me, wait for response, and see the timer. And after that confirmation, I'll introduce each contestant in the same way. Contestant number, name, speech title, title, and name. The speaking order has been randomly chosen, and I'll announce the order now. Contestant number 1, Jennifer Sherman. Contestant number 2, Mona Safari. Contestant number 3, Liubov Ananeva. Contestant number 4, Genevieve Navar Franklin. Contestant 5, Jackie Tweedie. Contestant 6, Arifulla Shariff. Contestant 7, Dr. Janet Lockhart-Jones. Contestant 8, Rahul Sansi. Contestant 9, Gary Wong. Our Chief Judge, Hans Thoma, has confirmed that all of the contestants, judges, timers, and ballot counters have been briefed, and all of the contestants are eligible to compete. Well, it's time to begin the contest. So, contestant number 1, Genevieve Navar. Oh, excuse me, that's wrong. Jennifer Sherman. Can you see me? Can you hear? Can you see the timer, and can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Contestant number 1, Jennifer Sherman. Jennifer Sherman. Freedom. Freedom. Jennifer Sherman.
Good evening, Toastmasters, judges, and guests. Freedom means something different to everyone. Tonight, journey with me to childhood, when freedom meant the same thing to all of us, and that was movement. If you have seen a toddler's face when they learned how to crawl or to walk, then you have seen pure joy. Why? Well, it was hard to learn. They fell down a lot, but then they could go where their will determined rather than the will of their parents. It is a huge step towards independence, and the world starts to get bigger. A few years later, and the world becomes bigger still with a bicycle. Did anyone else ride all over their town? I did. Eventually free to travel out of the sight of my parents and free to make choices that they were blissfully unaware of. Bringing us to the teenage years. Think back. Life was fresh, fun, full of possibilities, and a little bit scary. The best and scariest part of turning 16, learning to drive. I remember practicing driving with my parents white-knuckled beside me in the passenger seat while I held my hands at 10 and 2 and worked my way up from empty parking lots to the freeway. My dad lectured me on the responsibilities of driving and tried to take all the fun out of it. But the day I got that driver's license, all I felt was a sense of awe. I was born wanting to grow up, crawling early, walking early, and I was in that DMV on my 16th birthday, ready to ace that test and rule the world. What made that license so valuable was that it was hard to earn, like walking as a toddler or getting that first real job or getting that first real kiss. At 16, I loved driving to work at Sizzler, making $4 an hour and getting that $65 paycheck because I felt like I was out of my parents' reach. I worked 2 jobs in high school so that I could afford to backpack through Europe when I graduated at 17, a free spirit at a young age. Years later, I still loved to drive and I had drive. I worked as a nurse, saving babies' lives in the neonatal intensive care unit, and I liked to be in charge. So I drove myself harder and harder, becoming charge nurse, manager, earning national certifications, and climbing higher and higher up that corporate ladder. At age 40, I graduated with my master's degree from UC Berkeley, and I was on top of the world. Driving, I thought I could fly. They say pride goes before the fall. For me, that fall came literally. When one day, working in the unit I loved like a home for 20 years, I fainted. A week later, I fainted again. I will spare the medical saga. Now I have a fainting disorder called POTS syndrome, and when I stand still for several minutes, the blood pools in my feet and I faint. I don't get to be a nurse or drive anymore. For some odd reason, the people in charge want you to remain conscious for both of those things. Now, Miss Independent, I'm back to asking my mommy and daddy, both in their 70s, to give me and my kids rides where we need to go. And I am so grateful to them and that they're around to help me, but shouldn't I be the one taking care of them? If I'm honest, I feel like another child in the car who's lost all her rights to adulting. I also feel like a burden to people, no matter what they say, so I hardly leave my house and my world has become very small once again. It's frustrating when I never faint while sitting down, only standing, and I don't know about you all, but I always sit when I drive. Also, I'm a rule follower, even if the man or the DMV doesn't want to hear me. But now picture me some months ago. My kids were being teenagers. I was sick of my house and I needed nature. I was sick of asking for rides, but I was not sick. So I decided, damn the man, I will drive my car today. And I did. I knew I would be safe and seated. The second I was in that seat, driving with nobody in my car, I felt freedom. Absolute freedom like I've never felt. Driving through the Petaluma vineyards at sunset, I appreciated every single cloud, every hill, every row of grapes, and the myriad of colors that graced the sky that evening. I listened to my music and I enjoyed the silence of my own company. I also looked for cops like never before, and I decided that fainting might be a real disservice in prison. But happily I made it, but I haven't driven since. I told myself that evening that I'd work diligently to find other methods of movement to get back the independence that driving had offered me in life and be grateful. But this experience led me to wonder what else I have that brings me joy that I would feel lost without. I will never get back the life I had before this fluke illness took things away from me, many that were hard to achieve. Yet my greatest accomplishments are in front of me every day, and those are my children. My daughter has just received her driver's permit, and I cannot wait to watch her expand her place in this world, and my son is not far behind. I believe that my journey can teach us to enjoy our freedom in whatever form it takes. For it is this new appreciation of all of my blessings that have given me a new life when my drive and my independence had to take a backseat. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, contestant number 1. Please turn off your video and mute your microphone. Timer, please provide 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots.
Not 2, 1, okay.
Thank you. Contestant number 2. Would you please unmute your mic and turn on your video? Contestant number 2, can you see the timer and can you hear me?
I can hear you and I can see the timer, but timer is not pinned for me.
You can see the timer. That's good enough, Mona. You do not need to
Just
pin
the small on the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll see the color come up.
Yeah.
Contestant number 2, Mona Safari. Break the chain. Break the chain. Mona Safari.
Aggressively pulling my hand, she yelled, "Continue with your bad attitude and I will go ahead and tell everyone in your kindergarten how annoying you are. Why can't you be like other kids?" "No, please, I'll stay quiet, I promise." That day, I couldn't talk, eat, or play. I just sat in a corner, looking at other kids, asking my 5-year-old self, what is wrong with me? Why can't I be like them? I started hating the way I sounded, my laugh, and my conservative family's constant criticism, which made it more obvious how much of a difference there was between me as a girl and my brothers. "You cannot wear that. Cover up." "Shh, be quiet. You're just a girl." This was one of many continuous links in the chain that held me. Feeling heard and unseen at home, I was insecure, feeling inadequate all the time, and I really wanted to get validation. In 8th grade, I thought that I had finally found a way to get my mom's attention. I just needed to get accepted into a prestigious high school. I locked myself in my room and poured everything I had into studying. I got the result, so I excitedly rushed home to show her. There it was, that familiar Wednesday Addams face. That was it. 365 days of hard work was nothing except the chain that held me grew another link. What else could I do? Despite being broken inside, I did everything I could to become that daughter she wanted. I got accepted into a prestigious high school, to college with electrical engineering, and even got an acceptance to a high-ranking school for a master's degree in the States. I sacrificed being away from family, my country, and childhood memories to become that gifted daughter she always wished to have. But every time I called, "Why can't you be a doctor like your cousin?" I was never enough. And again, the chain that held me grew another link. Having tried everything to gain approval, there seemed to be no other options left. I was this close to throwing my life away and disappearing from all those constant inner voices in my head. I am annoying. I am a burden. It was in that moment when I received the most unexpected call from my teacher, whom I hadn't talked to for years, asking me if I was doing well. Wow, someone actually cared about me. That was a sign. This was not the end of it. I could still heal from all that pain. I immediately signed up for an intense meditation retreat. And within the third day, I learned how to breathe. Really. One link of the chain broke. I added the support from a therapist who helped me learn to give myself the respect, attention, validation, and love I never experienced. Another link in the chain broke. I joined Toastmasters, which helped me to come out of my comfort zone, head up, and use my voice to convey my thoughts and emotions. I realized that I should be the first to congratulate myself for all of my academic and professional successes. The last link of the chain broke. Fellow Toastmasters, what is keeping you from becoming the hero in your own journey and break the chains of suppression, fear, and doubts? I am no longer that little girl who was yelled at anytime she was trying to express herself or simply laugh out loud. Today, I'm standing in front of you powerfully, speaking in a foreign language with an accent to show you that anyone can break the chains that hold us back. Anyone can heal a wounded heart, change their thoughts, and let go of other people's expectations. Let today be the day when we become that loving and genuine person we always wanted to have in our lives. The power is in our hands. Let today be the beginning of breaking the chains and never think that you're not enough. Master Toastmaster.
Thank you, contestant number 2. Please mute your mic and turn off your video. Timer, please give us 1 minute while the judges are completing their ballots. Thank you, timer. Contestant number 3. Please turn on your video and turn on your microphone. Can you see the timer and can you hear me?
Yeah, I can see the timer and I can hear you.
Thank you. Liubov, Ananeva, the Rose Garden. The Rose Garden. Liubov, Ananeva.
Life has a funny way of teaching you that sometimes it's the small things that count the most. All you need to do is stop and smell the roses. Mr. Contest Chair and dear friends. In August of 1996, my best friend Nadia was getting married. It's the perfect day every girl dreams of. Nadia spent 3 hours with one of the best hairstylists. And when she came back, her luscious long hair had been turned into a beehive, like Marge Simpson. Nadia was horrified, mortified, and threatened to cancel the wedding. Cooler heads prevailed and convinced her that it wasn't that bad. They lied. It was horrible. But it was her wedding day. So I took her hand and said, "We'll do it together." And Nadia entered the hall in her white fitted gown, flawless makeup, looking like she had just stepped out of a Vogue magazine. And the wedding went off without a hitch. Weeks later, I met Nadia. We laughed hysterically at her beehive fiasco and how caught up we got sometimes in the small things. We sat in the Rose Garden, our favorite place, to find peace and tranquility. We would often sit there and watch the sunset. The bright colors of the sun would shine through the tapestry of the white and red roses. Her rose garden was our safe place. Over the years, our friendship would blossom and enrich our lives. Of course, we had our ups and downs, but at the end, it was our friendship what mattered. Yet nothing would prepare me for what happened next. On a warm evening in May 2013, while sitting in her rose garden, Nadia flipped my world upside down. She had just found out she had stage 3 ovarian cancer. My heart sank, wondering if I would be able to carry on without her. This was my best friend who had been there for me for so many years. Ironically, the first thing she said was, "Do you know what terrifies me the most? That I will lose my hair." I quickly reminded her of her infamous beehive. tears turned into laughter. I took her hand and said, "We'll do it together." Eventually, after chemo, her hair did fall out. I kept my promise to be there and shaved my head. I looked like G.I. Jane with glasses. We took pictures, crying and laughing together, though I knew deep in my heart that she was battling the fight of her life for her life. Whenever things got too much for her, we would return to the rose garden and watch the sunset, embracing those precious moments together. What precious moments are you able to share with someone you care for? The following year, her hair eventually grew back, looking even stronger than before. She believed she had beaten the odds, and we celebrated the years of healthy life. Until that crisp, cold morning I will never forget. That morning, Nadia's daughter called to let me know that the beautiful flower I called my best friend had withered away. My heart sank again, wondering if I would be able to carry on without her. Though time has passed, I still miss her, but those small moments matter the most to me. Unforgettable evenings sitting in that very garden, the unwavering strength we found in each other, and the endless tears of joy we shared. Someone once said, the best portion of life will be those small, nameless moments you spend smiling with someone who matters to you. Who are you able to share those small, nameless moments with? Recently, I went to a wedding, and when I saw a bride, she instantly reminded me of Nadia. Her white, beautiful dress, her flawless makeup, her luscious long hair. I couldn't help but smile, remembering how beautiful she looked that day, even with her beehive, like Mark Simpson. I still visit the rose garden every once in a while, smell the roses, watch the sunset. Its warm glow makes me smile, knowing that we were always there for each other. We would always find a way to turn tears into laughter, and we always did it together. Back to you, Mr. Contest Chair.
Thank you, contestant 3. Please mute your mic and turn off your video. Timer, please give us 1 minute while the judges mark their ballot. Thank you, timer. Contest number 4. Please turn on your video and turn on your microphone. Contestant number 4, can you see the timer? And can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, you're quite well. Contestant number 4, Genevieve Navar Franklin, Invictus. Invictus, Genevieve Navar Franklin.
The brave man, said Nelson Mandela, the brave man is not the one who has no fears, but the man who has overcome them. Beloved listeners, throughout my life, I have had the privilege of offering spiritual consolation to my fellow human beings in some of their most hopeless moments. Through the depths of such despair, I have found that often the most powerful lessons in living come to us from those who are facing their dying. In the fell clutch of circumstance, in the fierce grip of the coronavirus, chaplains like me, no longer able to visit hospital patients in person, did our utmost to offer them comfort by telephone. The phrase "in the fell clutch of circumstance" isn't mine. It comes from a 19th century poem written by William Ernest Henley called Invictus in Latin, that is to say, unconquered. Because of a deeply moving experience I had in my spiritual care work, that poem has become transformational in my life. During the pandemic, I seldom was able to speak to any given patient more than once. But there was a period of time when I spoke to the same patient, not once or twice, but 5 times in the 29 days he was in the hospital with COVID, desperately fighting for his life. His primary language was Spanish. The first time I called him, he was having such difficulty speaking, that is to say, breathing, that he could hardly utter a single word. Not wanting to tax him, I offered simply a brief universal invocation that the light, the love, and power of grace might uphold him, support, and protect him. On the second week, he was on my list again. This time, I chose a traditional petition from one of my mother's old cherished prayer books. As I read to him in Spanish, the sound of the oxygen pumping into his lungs marked the beat of every verse. Whoosh. On the third week, he was still on my list. By then, I thought we had enough of a connection that I went Protestant. They have such a way of being chummy and intimate with their God. Thus it was that I too went on and on about all the things I wished for this man in his time of trial and crisis. On the 4th week, in anticipation, I felt drawn, as if by a commanding presence, to read Invictus to him. I said, I would like to read a poem to you that was of great inspiration to Nelson Mandela when he was at Robins Prison for having led the fight to end apartheid in South Africa. He replied, "Sí, señora, I know of Nelson Mandela." I began. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. En la noche interminable, oscura como un pozo insondable, doy gracias al Dios que fuera por mi alma inconquistable. He started weeping. He started gasping. Even though I couldn't see him, I could feel the awe and anguish and excitement in his voice. I said, "Señor, do you want me to stop?" He said, no, go on. And so I read the 2nd stanza and the 3rd stanza, and I got to the 4th stanza. It matters not how straight the gate, How filled with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Soy el amo de mi destino, soy el capitán de mi alma. In his halting speech, he then said, Señora, I don't know how of all the poems and prayers and petitions there exist. You chose to share that one with me now. I have been reflecting through these endless days. If I am given the gift of leaving this place alive, I will go home, I will make connections, I will make amends. I have come to know how precious is this life. But I want to tell you why this has meant so much to me now. On the very night before I came here, destined to go through these travails, I had been watching a film called Invictus. It is a story of Nelson Mandela. And I heard those words, soy el capitán de mi alma, I am the captain of my soul. I am beginning to have hope. I am beginning to see tomorrows. On the 5th week, he had been moved into a regular care ward. He told me again how much it had meant that those were the words we had shared, words written in 1875 by William Ernest Henley that a century later would support Nelson Mandela in his work of liberation, and decades later would help this valiant man as he struggled and worked for one more breath, and one more breath, and one more breath. On that day, he said, Señora, I don't know how to thank you, and I am infinitely grateful to whatever gods there be. I have been told that I will be discharged today. I am going home. In the deepest sense of the word, he had become invictus, unconquered. Thus may it be with you. Contest Chapter.
Thank you, contestant 4. Please mute your mic and turn off your video. Timer, please give us 1 minute while the judges mark their ballots. Thank you, timer. Contestant number 5, please turn on your video and unmute your mic. Can you see the timer and can you hear me?
I can hear you and I can see the timer.
Thank you. Contestant number 5, Jackie Tweedie, a little bit of magic. A little bit of magic, Jackie Tweedie.
Here she comes, floating down from the sky with her umbrella. It's magic. I'm 5 years old, sitting with my mum, watching the movie Mary Poppins, always my favourite. It's about a family search for the right nanny, and then unexpectedly, Mary Poppins turns up out of the blue. She brings calm to the chaos and uses kindness and a little bit of magic. Mary Poppins can use a click of her fingers to make all the toys put themselves away. Wouldn't you like to have magic like that? I must have watched this movie countless times over the decades. My mum and I know all the words to all the songs. And we're watching it again today. And my mum says, "What's this film?" "It's Mary Poppins, Mum, you know." "Never seen it before." That's when I realize this dementia, like a thief that's been stealing my mum's memories away one by one over time, has come to take the last precious piece. What am I going to do? She'll need a caregiver in her own home now, and I live 100 miles away. Now it's my turn to go and search for the right person to look after my mum. All the caregivers I find look great on paper. They're qualified, they've got experience, but they're all missing something. Annabelle. "Your mother keeps repeating herself. She is driving me crazy." Tim. "Oh, I've lost your mother. She's wandered off and I can't find her anywhere." Jason, covered in tattoos. "Your mum keeps touching my tattoos. It's got to stop." No patience, no focus, no empathy, no help to me. All these caregivers and plenty of others after them have simply made my bad situation even worse. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then out of the blue, as if by magic, Debbie arrives. And Debbie's different. Debbie doesn't see my mum's dementia. Debbie sees my mum, the essence of my mum. She wants to know everything about her. "Tell me, Jackie, what did your mum used to be like before her dementia? What were her interests? What was important to her? What did she love?" Debbie is starting to sprinkle a little bit of magic in my mum's life. I'm amazed at how she does it. It's the little things I notice. When my mum repeats herself again and again, Debbie really listens. When my mum wanders off, Debbie goes with her. When my mum feels sad, Debbie comforts her. These may seem like little things, but the effect on my mum is magic. Have you noticed how it's the little things that make the biggest difference? I am delighted because my search is over. I found my own Mary Poppins. Debbie is practically perfect in every way. I pop in one day to see them. Debbie has made my mum an afternoon tea. She's made it beautifully. Little tiny cakes, finest china cups, a beautiful tablecloth, all the little touches. And she's made my mum center stage, like the hostess she always used to be. And she says to me, "Jackie, look at all the things your mum has done." And my mum is in the center, radiant and beaming. She really does believe she did all this. That's not just caring. That's love. That's magic. Everything is going really well until the day when Debbie drops her bombshell. "I'm sorry, Jackie, I've got to leave. I want to be with my daughter in Australia." But Debbie, you can't leave. I need you. My mum needs you. You're my Mary Poppins. I've never had a carer like you before. You're one of a kind. Jackie, you're gonna be fine. I'm not special. I care for your mum in the way that I would want her to care for me if our roles were swapped. I put myself into her shoes and I know how to care for her because I just imagine what it would be like. That's when I understand. It's not Debbie who's magic. It's the things Debbie does that's magic, the little things that make such a big difference. In my experience, when we notice something needs doing and we do it, magic happens. We create a connection that allows us to connect with other people and improve their lives. But also in doing so, improve our own. And it's not about Mary Poppins and it's not about Debbie, because we can all do this. It's the little things that make the big difference. So what can you do in your life? What little thing could you do to make a big difference? Take a breath. Be kind. Smile. Step into someone else's shoes. Little things, big difference. Magic. Mr. Contest Chair.
Thank you, contestant 5. Please turn off your video and mute your mic. Timer, please give us 1 minute while the judges mark their ballots. Thank you, timer. Timer, please show 5 minutes. Speaker number 6, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Please stand down. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a 5-minute break, and we'll be back in 5 minutes and whatever seconds there are. So please come back in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Time's up.
Thank you, timer. Welcome back. If you have put on your microphones or your video.
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Wait seconds. Actually, it's muted.
I need help staying unmuted.
Okay.
Speaker number 6. Can you see the timer and can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can do that. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you very much. I
you.
apologize for the technical difficulties. Speaker number 6. Arifulla, Shariff. Unstoppable. Unstoppable. Arifulla, Shariff.
Once upon a time, there were two kids in a village, Ram, a 10-year-old kid, and Babu, a 6-year-old kid. They were very close friends. One day, they went outside the village near a pond for playing. Ram, the 10-year-old kid, fell inside the pond. Babu really wanted to save his friend. He looked around, he found a rope, and he threw the rope inside the pond. Ram, on the other side, held the rope very tightly. Babu tried to pull the rope. Remember, it was not easy for a 6-year-old kid to pull a 10-year-old kid. But without thinking even for a second, Babu gave all his energy. He kept on pulling, he kept on pulling, he kept on pulling until he was able to save his friend. Now the kids were happy, but they were scared to share the story back in village, as they'll be in huge trouble if their families know about this. Interestingly, no one in the village believed their story, except one wise old man. Now the entire village was surprised. Why does the wise old man believe in story which sounds fake? They all went to his house and asked, why does he believe in the story which sounds so fake? How can a 6-year-old kid pull a 10-year-old kid outside the pond? The wise old man smiled and told one very interesting thing. Babu was able to do it because there was no one out there to tell him he cannot do it. Let me repeat it. There was no one out there to tell him he cannot do it. Not even himself. My dear fellow Toastmasters, imagine if something like this happens in our lives and we have no negative thoughts to stop us from whatever we want to do in our life. How would that feel? How would that feel? That will feel amazing. That will feel unstoppable, just like Babu in that story. I'm from a very humble background back in India. My father hardly used to make $20 a whole month. We could hardly eat with 6 people in the family, and we could hardly afford education. On top of that, I had very bad stuttering. My stuttering was so bad, it used to take me minutes to even talk one sentence. Now you can imagine the amount of negative thoughts I had in my mind as a kid about this whole world. In spite of all the odds, here I am working in Bay Area as an engineering leader in one of the best tech companies in the world, and also living a pretty happy and unstoppable life. Today, I'm going to share tips which helps me free my mind from negative thoughts and start living an unstoppable life. We all have negative thoughts in our mind. We have built these negative thoughts in our mind, and let's call 2 walls in our mind. Outer wall from all the negative voices from outside, and inner wall from all the negative voices from outside. Let's start from the outer wall, which is wall number 1. If any of you want to do anything new in your life, how many of you heard, hey, you cannot do it? Hey, it's risky. How many of you heard that? I have heard it many times. I'll tell you what has worked for me. Just asking why. Just asking why to all the negative people around you. you'll realize that those people tell you cannot do it because they themselves cannot do it. But there are a few positive people around you, and you should really respect that. For example, when I was a kid, no one around me believed I could do anything big except my mom. She used to tell me, Arif, you'll be an engineer one day. That one line was stuck with me throughout my education, and I went on to be a really good student. Once you start asking why to all the negative people and start respecting the positive people around you, you'll slowly start to break the outer wall of negative thoughts. And once you do that, there is no one out there to stop you from whatever you want to do in your life, except one person. Except one person. Who's that? Yes, that's ourselves. We have built a huge, thick wall of negative thoughts from all the negative voices from inside. And that's wall number 2. We are human beings. Negative thoughts do come. A lot of negative thoughts come. Can I do it? Am I worth it? I'll tell you what has worked for me. It is very similar logic. Just asking myself why. Just asking myself why to all the negative thoughts which come from inside. You'll be surprised that your mind knows a lot of answers. For example, I was stuck in my career a few years back. I kept on asking why to myself. Then I realized that the real underlying problem is public speaking. I was really afraid to talk in public due to my stuttering. That motivated me to do a whole bunch of things, including Toastmasters. Just this one word, why, did a huge magic for me. Once you start asking why to all the negative thoughts from inside and start solving the real underlying problems, you'll slowly start to break even the inner thick wall of negative thoughts. My dear fellow Toastmasters, once you break the outer wall and the inner wall of negative thoughts, you'll be open to any new challenges and opportunities in your life. You'll feel the force that you can do whatever you want to do in your life without any negative thoughts, just like Babu in that story. And you will be unstoppable. Unstoppable! Thank you. Back to Toastmasters.
Thank you. Contestant 6, please turn off your video and mute your mic. Timer, please put 1 minute on the clock for the judges to mark their ballots. Thank you, timer. Contest 7. Contestant 7, please turn on your video and unmute your mic. Contestant 7, Janet Lockhart-Jones. The truth about stuttering. The truth about stuttering, Dr. Janet Lockhart-Jones.
Toastmasters and guests, how much do you know? How much do you really know about the topic of stuttering? Some of you may know a little, some of you may know a lot. Some of you may know absolutely nothing at all. That's okay though, because tonight you will learn the truth about stuttering. See, I have stuttered all my life. Now I have a 5-year-old godson who stutters, and I am on a mission to successfully get him through this phase. I know firsthand how stuttering can adversely affect and impact one's self-esteem, self-confidence, and willingness to speak up. Since stuttering often begins in childhood, and you just heard speaker number 6 speak to that, imagine the impact on a child who wants to speak up, who knows what he or she really wants to say, but chooses to remain silent because of the fear of being embarrassed. See, that child was me. I don't recall a time in my life when I did not stutter. Now, this doesn't mean that I stutter all the time, because I don't, but I still today do stutter under certain conditions. But I've learned to live with it, manage it, and thrive with it. So today I want to share with you what stuttering is and what stuttering is not. And to share with you what stuttering is not, I will share with you some myths that are associated with stuttering that are simply not true. I will also share with you some tips and suggestions for how to respond to people who stutter. My hope is that you walk away from my speech more informed and more empathetic toward those who stutter, and you will readily acknowledge that they are really no different from you. So what is stuttering? Well, the National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Disorders defines stuttering, also called stammering, as a speech disorder characterized by repetition of sounds, syllables, or words, prolongation of sounds, and interruptions known as blocks. See, an individual who stutters knows exactly what he or she would like to say, but just has trouble producing a normal flow of speech. So these speech behaviors, these speech disruptions may be accompanied by struggle behaviors, such as rapid eye blinks or tremors of the lips. See, stuttering can make it difficult to communicate with other people, which often affects a person's quality of life, as well as interpersonal relationships. Stuttering can also negatively influence job performance and opportunities. And treatment for stuttering can come at a high financial cost. So let's pause now to look at a few statistics. Take a guess. How many adults do you think stutter in the United States? Well, roughly 3 million Americans stutter. Stuttering affects people of all ages and often starts with children between the ages of 2 and 6 as they are developing critical language skills. Approximately 5 to 10% of all children will stutter for some period in their life, lasting from a few weeks to several years. Approximately 75% of children will recover from stuttering. For the remaining 25% who continue to stutter, stuttering can persist as a lifelong communication disorder. So that's what stuttering is. Let's now look at what stuttering is not. And let's look at a few myths. People stutter because they are nervous. Not true. Because fluent speakers occasionally become disfluent when they are nervous or under stress, some people assume, wrongfully, that people who stutter do so for the same reason. Now, while people who stutter may be nervous because they stutter, nervousness is not the root cause. Stuttering is psychological, not true. Emotional factors typically accompany stuttering, but it is not primarily a psychological or mental condition. Stuttering is a neurological condition for which treatment or therapy may help. People who stutter are of lower intelligence or less capable. Not true. Stuttering community has its share of scientists, writers, college professors, doctors, lawyers, and yes, even public speakers and Toastmasters like myself and Speaker 6. So ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters, I shared with you why this topic is of interest to me. I've defined stuttering. I've shared with you some statistics and myths. So the next time you speak to someone who stutters or stammers, how will you react? What will you say? Here's a few tips. First, listen to the person the same way you would listen to someone who doesn't stutter. 2, be patient. Do not try to finish what the person is saying. 3, listen to what the person is saying, not how they're saying it. 4, don't ask the person to slow down or start over, but it might help if you speak more calmly and a little slower. 5, don't interrupt children or adults, but ask them to explain anything you don't understand. However, if you're interacting with a very young child and that young child is struggling to speak and becoming frustrated, it might help if you just say, wait a minute, and move down to meet them at their eye level. Try to ask questions that only need short answers. This will help the child tell you exactly what he or she wants us to say. Back to you.
Thank you, contestant 7. Please turn off your video and mute your microphone. Timer, give us 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots. Thank you, timer. Contestant number 8, please turn on your video and unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you see the timer?
Yes, I can. Just give me 1 sec. Yes, I can see the timer.
Thank you. Contestant number 8, Rahul, Sansi, Bear, Rahul, Sansi.
I had a bear encounter. It happened in my 20s when I was living in Southern California. Rose, the girl I was dating at that time, was in the market for a new car. So Rose and I decided to visit our local Mercedes car dealership. We were standing in the parking lot browsing through cars when we were approached by a gentleman. He was tanned, he had blonde hair, and he was wearing a tie. And I could tell he had a lot of product in his hair. He introduced himself and said, "Hi, I'm Don. How can I help you?" Don was the quintessential car salesman. He was polite, he was friendly, and he showed us a number of cars. And to my surprise, Rose decided to buy a car right then and there, and Don made a fat commission. Rose and I became friends with Don. One day, he invited us to a happy hour. At the happy hour, I remember thinking to myself, wow, Don is such a nice guy. He's so friendly. I should probably pay for the drinks tonight. So I offered, and Don quickly accepted. He was a little bit too eager. After the happy hour, Don said, you guys are such good customers. You even paid for my drinks tonight. I want to take you to a nightclub. I know the people there, and I can get us a bottle service. Now, at that point in my life, I didn't know what the word bottle service meant. In fact, I wasn't even very familiar with the business model of nightclubs in general. So instead of asking Don what bottle service meant, I did what any guy does when he pretends to be a baller. I said, Don, let's do it. Let's get those bottle services. Soon, Rose, Don, and I were at the nightclub. We were sitting at our own table at the nightclub. Sitting at the table, I was looking at everyone around me, and I was engulfed by a strong sense of superiority. Wow, I have my own table at a nightclub. I've made it. I'm now among the social elite of Southern California. The hostess arrived, and she brought us a drinks menu. Dawn handed me the drinks menu and asked me to pick a bottle of alcohol. I looked at the menu, and it had two columns. On the left were names of bottles of alcohol, all in French, and next to each bottle was a number. There were no dollar signs. So I thought to myself, this nightclub clearly only serves French alcohol, and these numbers must indicate the size of the bottles in milliliters. French follow the metric system after all. There were three of us, so I picked a bottle that had a large number written next to it and showed it to the hostess. The hostess came back with a beautiful bottle of champagne, and then she asked us for a credit card. Dawn looked at me and said, Rahul, you picked the champagne. Why don't you give her your credit card? I was surprised. I said, Dawn, you brought us here. We are your guests. You should pay for the champagne. Dawn said, don't worry about it. Let me go and speak to the manager. So Dawn left. 20 minutes later, the hostess came back and informed us that Dawn was gone. He had left the nightclub. And then she said, you cannot leave until you pay for the champagne. I was shocked. I felt deceived, but I didn't want to create a scene. So I told her, I'll pay for the champagne. How much is it? She said, $900. At that point, I had a moment of mental clarity. I quickly figured out the business model of nightclubs. Only get a table at a nightclub if you also buy expensive alcohol. And then the most embarrassing realization hit me. The numbers next to the bottles indicated their price. I guess I had never seen such expensive alcohol before that night. As I came back to my senses, I realized that I was mad. I was really mad at Dawn. So I told the hostess, I'm not paying $900. You can call the cops if you want. A few minutes later, the cops arrived. I explained to the cops what had happened, but they said the same thing. You cannot leave until you pay the $900. At that point, I lost it. I started yelling at the cops, and in my rage, I pulled out my wallet, I took out my credit card, and I threw it on the floor. The hostess was standing right next to me. She picked up my card, ran it, and handed me a receipt for $900. I was about to leave when someone tapped my shoulder. I turned around and I saw myself staring into a torso. It was a large torso. I slowly lifted my gaze to look into the eyes of the giant standing in front of me. The giant said, do you want your money back? I said, yes, I do. So he handed me a business card and he left the scene. I looked at the business card and it had the symbol of a bear paw on it. Below the bear paw was the word bear and then a phone number. Bear was the bouncer at the nightclub. The next morning, I called that number. It was Bear on the other end. He asked me to meet him at the Mercedes car dealership in a couple of hours. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but 2 hours later, I was at the car dealership. Bear was standing outside. I shook his hand, and Bear and I started walking into the Mercedes car dealership. Everyone in the parking lot stopped what they were doing and started staring at us. It was something they had never seen before. There was Bear, the 7-foot giant, wearing jeans and a black t-shirt and sunglasses. And next to him was me, the skinny Indian dude, trying to look tough. I wasn't wearing any sunglasses, so I was squinting as I was trying to look tough. Don was also in the parking lot. He looked at us and he ran into the office of the Mercedes car dealership. Bear and I followed Don into his office. We walked up to his desk. There were no words spoken. Don took out a checkbook and wrote me a check for $900. Ladies and gentlemen, that was my Bear encounter.
Thank you, contestant 8. Please turn off your video and silence your microphone by muting. Thank you. Timer, please give us 1 minute while the judges mark their ballots. Thank you, timer. Contestant number 9, please turn on your video and unmute your microphone. Contestant number 9, Gary Wong. Always there, Gary Wong.
Is there someone in your life who is always there? My dad was always there for me. From the time I was small, he would bring me down to his grocery store. My dad owned a grocery store and he wanted me to be around him. I asked him many different questions as he taught me how to count change, taught me how to treat customers right. I once asked him, Dad, why is it important that we open the store on time? And my dad would say, son, it's important because if your customers can depend on you, they will trust you with their business. My dad taught me integrity, responsibility, and the importance of hard work. He was so proud of me. I remember when I joined the University of California marching band. For the first time as a freshman at the University of California, I marched out onto the football field. My dad was so proud of me. He dragged my 4 younger sisters every single football game to see their big brother perform on the field. They loved it when they could yell, "Go Bears, go Bears!" And my dad was so proud because family was the most important thing to him, to see his kids support each other. But I have to say, my sisters probably hate college football today as a result of that experience. Then I got married. I can tell you I was married happily for 46 years. of which 2 of them were not so happy. You probably have heard this before. You're insensitive. You never understand what I'm trying to say. What's the matter with you? Don't you ever think about me? I heard this over and over again, and I thought to myself, what have I done wrong? Did I marry the wrong person? And my dad would say, Gary, when you ask, did you marry the wrong person? Make sure you're not the wrong person. And then he said to me, you may think that you are 99% right and she's 99% wrong, but I give you these words of wisdom that will save you a lot of heartache. Say to her, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I was only thinking of myself. Dad had these words of wisdom, and he would always finish off by saying, and this too will pass. Dad was strong. He was independent. His family depended on him. I depended on him. He was always a good fighter, always looking for the good in people, always the encourager, always the one to see the good in people and find the best in a worse situation. I always thought Dad would be with me for my entire life. Then one day, my mom called me. My mom was 94 years old. My dad was 91. Gary, please come over. Dad's fallen down again. I quickly got in the car and drove as fast as I could to see my dad prostrate on the floor because he was trying to get to the bathroom in the middle of the night. He didn't want to wear diapers. He insisted that he had to go to the bathroom on his own. Unfortunately, this happened 4 times in 9 days when he lost his balance. And my sisters and I said, we really need to do something. Let's bring in a caregiver to be with him at least between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. at night to assist him so he doesn't lose his balance and lose control of his walker. But as the months wore on, we could see that things were going badly until we had to bring in a caregiver. I still remember that fateful day when Mom said, Gary, I don't like strangers living in my house. I said, Mom, this is for the best. I can take care of Dad. Mom, you'll have trouble just helping him into his wheelchair. Well, how long is he going to stay here? I said, forever. As the days and the months went by, Dad got weaker. And I thought to myself, here's my dad. He taught me how to tie a tie. And today I have to tie his tie because he was too weak to do it himself. And he taught me how to shave. Ooh, you missed a spot. And then I see myself having to shave him now because he can no longer shave himself. He couldn't even hold the shaver. He taught me how to drive a car. And now I was driving him to the doctor. We had to take his license away. Dad had become increasingly more dependent on everything. Someone to bathe him, to dress him, to feed him, even to change his diapers. And I think to myself, how things have changed so much. One night I was changing my dad's diapers and he said, Gary. What, Dad? What did you say? Gary. I can't get that, Dad. What did you say? I love you. I love you too, Dad. You'll always be in my heart. Mom passed first. And then after she passed, Dad became even more lonely, more troubled, more forgetful. Heartbreaking when he said to me, Gary, Where's mom? I haven't seen her for a while. And we'd have to tell him over again what had happened. Dad will always be in my heart. What about you? Is there someone in your life that loves you, that's always there for you? I encourage every one of you, reach out today. Reach out today to that person, because tomorrow is promised to no one. Mr. Contest Chair.
Thank you, contestant number 9. Please turn off your video and mute your microphone. We will now, because we've had the last of our contestants, we will now wait until the judges have completed marking their ballots, submitted them, and have left the room with the chief judge. We will resume once all of the ballots have been collected.
This is the chief judge. We're waiting for one more bout. And if that judge is wrapping it up, please do so, and we'll give another minute or two for you to do that. Thank you.
And Chief Judge, the breakout room is open, so you 4 people can join anytime.
Thank you.
Master Toastmaster, I think you can proceed.
Thank you. Well, the contest has concluded, but it's time for us to take the opportunity to get to know some of the contestants. Would you please?
I'm sorry. I did this again. Did Hans come back? My fault. Did Hans say all ballots have been collected now?
No, he has not.
I'm sorry. I've done this to you before. My apologies.
I think they're right in the breakout room. I think they already received.
They are good. Okay, I want to confirm that. Sorry. Proceed.
It's all right, Elliot. We can go to Starbucks and you can buy me a coffee.
I will.
Thank you for that. Since everybody has agreed that the judges and the ballots are gone, let's get our contestants out here. I'm going to call on them one at a time in the order of their speaking and ask them to unmute their microphones and come in with their videos. And timer, you give me 1.5 minutes per each one before I see a green. Thank you very much. Our first contestant, Jennifer Sherman. Jennifer, thank you very much for your speech tonight. Please tell us the club you're in and the name of the club and how long you've been in Toastmasters.
Thank you. I am in Sunrise Business Leaders Toastmasters, and I have been in the club about 1.5 years.
Ah, exciting. All right. I'm going to turn on a light over here because it's getting dark outside. So tell us, what is one of your major interests and hobbies that you utilized during your free time?
Well, this has been one of my biggest hobbies since the pandemic, actually. And I also like to keep abreast of all of the nursing things that are going on in the world, even though I can't be a nurse anymore. So I stay updated on those things. And then I've recently learned how to watercolor and got a new puppy. So that takes a lot of time, actually.
Oh, most definitely. The puppy for sure. And they'll continue on and on. But watercolors are a very fascinating art form. That is for sure.
Yeah.
What about watercoloring inspires you the most?
You know, I really like in watercolor how you actually paint with water and then you drop a piece of color into it and see how it flows out. So learning how to do that type of painting has been really fun for me. And it's because it's harder than it looks to make it look pretty. I'm not
I
very
can well imagine. Oh, don't discount your own abilities. You'd be surprised. People see things in paintings that you may not know were there, but are grateful for them. I have one more question. What is your favorite quote?
Oh, my favorite quote. Gosh, that's a really good question. I have so many by Eleanor Roosevelt, actually. She's one of my favorite people to quote.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I can't think of a single one by her off the top of my head. Man, that's a trick question. What to come up with on the spot.
You picked a difficult person there because Eleanor Roosevelt is very famous for many, many things she's done. And so I can understand why you are inspired by her. She inspired millions of others. I want to thank you very much for being in the contest tonight. And we're going to move on to contestant number 2.
Thank
So
you.
Jennifer, would you please mute your mic and turn off your video.
Thank you.
Thank you. Contestant number 2, Mona Safari. Please turn on your microphone and unmute and show yourself video-wise. There we go. Mona, how long have you been in Toastmasters and what is your club?
I joined Toastmasters when pandemic hit, beginning of 2020. It goes 3 strong years. And my home club is Andishe. And I'm also I recently joined TLC, Toastmasters Leadership Club.
I know those clubs very well. That's very good. Very good. So tell us, what hobbies and interests do you have besides Toastmastering?
Definitely Toastmasters, I believe, for all of us. During pandemic, especially last year, I started a side hustle, something that I feel makes me happy. I started my small business as custom design embroidery designer, or business, if I can call it that way. And it's fun hobby on the side that I put all my skills, my artistic skills together and design anything that I want on any material, clothing, caps, sweatshirts, in a corporation level.
At corporation level. That's an artistry that goes along with what you're doing. So tell us, what is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote, I love Rumi, as many people know him. Western, now we have more familiarity with spiritual poets in Middle East. And one of his quotes says, the healing is in the pain. And that's where I was trying to have, that was inspiration for me to write down this speech that I presented today, that if there's something unhealed in you, you can bring something beautiful out of it and heal it as much as you can.
I think that's very good advice. Thank you very much. And congratulations on being a contestant tonight. We're going to move on. So please mute your microphone and turn off your video. Contestant number 3, Liubov Ananeva. Please unmute your microphone and turn on your video.
Hello again.
Hello again. Tell us the club you're in and how long you've been in Toastmasters.
I joined in June 2020, I guess. So it's almost 2 years. And my club is my favorite club in the world. It's the Island City Toastmasters Club, Alameda, California. Hello, guys. I know you're here.
Oh, yeah, that's a very nice club. Tell us, so what are your interests and hobbies besides Toastmastering?
Actually, I love reading. And I love storytelling. Yeah.
Storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought about getting the storytelling club?
Storytelling, it is now like my hobby, kinda, because of Toastmasters Club. Because last year I met this terrific guy at our spring conference who is a terrific storyteller, Matthew Dix, and because of him, so I now a big fan of storytelling.
Excellent, excellent. I think the most speeches that are successful have a story in them of themselves, or maybe even the speech itself. Fantastic. Do you have a favorite quote that you use and like to tell about?
Yeah, actually, I have a favorite quote. It's you own everything what happened to you. Tell your stories. And that is so true. It belongs to Anne Lamott, our local author who lives in Marin County. So, and it's so true because everybody has stories. We just sometimes so like shy to tell our stories, but there are people outside who need to hear our stories. So just go outside and tell your stories.
Good advice for everyone. Good advice for everyone. Do you have a favorite quote? Or have I already asked you that question?
Yeah.
In that case, I'm going to have to move on, and thank you very much. Congratulations on becoming a contestant tonight, and we'll see you later. Thank you. Turn off your video and turn on mute your mic, please. Thank you. Contestant number 4, Genevieve Navar Franklin, please turn on your video and unmute your mic.
Hi there.
Hello, and thank you very much. Tell us what your club is and how long you've been in Toastmasters.
I am in Kaiser Communicators in Santa Rosa. And I've been in this particular Toastmasters probably around 6 years, maybe a little more. I was originally in a Toastmasters club for a brief period in San Francisco many, many years ago. I don't even remember the name or where we met. That was a different life, as you can imagine.
Oh, I think COVID has turned lives around for all of us in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Tell
But
us.
I'm talking about 35 years ago, 40 years ago,
Oh, okay.
maybe 50.
Tell us about your interests and hobbies besides Toastmastering.
I would say that writing and particularly storytelling, personal narrative storytelling is my newest avocation, and I'm pretty passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
I have less than hobbies. I used to have some hobbies. I used to be a lot into bicycling, but just commuter bicycling. But I'd say that my interests are primarily around justice. I am a professional interpreter, or I was before I retired, and I am very much interested in justice, particularly in the prison systems, and also in communication.
You see, that's an important topic being talked about a lot today.
Yeah.
Good that you have an interest in that.
And I'm also
Tell
very
us.
interested in,
Go ahead.
I'm interested in the patient experience in healthcare.
That's a very important thing also. Right? My wife is going through that right now as a patient. But not about me. What inspires you the most?
I generally get inspired by the connection between beings, whether they're human beings or creatures, and the beauty of the world, creation. Yeah. Love.
I understand.
Love in
It said your
capital word.
speech.
Yeah.
So you have a favorite quote that you use?
Yes, and it's interesting because it's a quote that is both by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, who wrote The Little Prince, and also Helen Keller did something very similar. But it is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. And it particularly is significant to me because my husband was blind when I met him. And we got a lot of experience of what is essential being invisible to the eye.
Very interesting. Well, thank you very much, and congratulations on your being a contestant tonight.
Thank you for a beautiful contest.
Oh, it's you who had the contest. Please turn off your video and mute your mic. Thank you.
Oops.
Contestant number 5, Jackie Tweedie. Can you please unmute and bring up your video?
Hello.
Jackie.
Hi.
Tell me, what club are you involved in and what's its name?
I'm in the Diablo Champagne Breakfast Club, which is in Walnut Creek, and I've been in it about 2.5 years.
Excellent, excellent. Do you have specific hobbies and interests that you have besides Toastmastering?
I've recently discovered a great interest in birds, and that started off with my mum, really, because my mum, before she got dementia, was involved in a gardening club in the village where she lives. And there was a man in the village who had a perfect recipe for attracting wild birds into your garden. And she gave me the recipe. And so I made this recipe, and we have enormous numbers of birds in our garden now. And I've put a bird feeder outside her window because she's now bedbound. She can't move, but she can see the bird feeder from her bed. And we have woodpeckers. And I know some of these birds aren't very usual for you, but obviously I'm in the UK, and we think a lot of different birds are more exotic than maybe you do, but it's wonderful for her to see them. And she just shrieks with delight when they come down onto the bird feeder. And the most recent experience I've had is that there's a pair of peregrine falcons nesting in the town hall in the town where I live. And they've put 3 different webcams inside. So you can log on at any time of night or day, and you can see, well, we saw the eggs and then the chicks, and then the birds coming to feed them and everything. And it's just fascinating to see such close pictures of animals that are obviously incredibly difficult to see normally and pretty rare in the UK.
We have something like that at in Berkeley at the Campanile Tower. They have cameras on a peregrine falcon nest, I believe. But that's very, very interesting. Thank you very much, and congratulations on your being in the contest tonight.
Thank you.
I'm going to have to move on, but thank you very much. And please mute your mic and turn off your video. Thank you very much, Jackie.
Thank you.
Contestant number 6, Arifulla Shariff. Please unmute and bring up your video.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. How about you?
Very good. Thank you very much. Tell us the name of your club and its number and where you're from.
Yeah, I'm from a club called Fantastic Toastmasters. It's in Navar.
All right, fantastic. And how long have you been in Toastmasters?
Yeah, it's been around 5 years.
5 years. Excellent. That's lots of fun. Do you have any interests in hobbies besides Toastmastering?
Yeah, it's like we have a 6-year-old kid, and from last few years, I really wanted to start reading again, but it was so tough with having a kid who's so energetic, who always wants our time. I started doing this audiobooks a few months back, and it's so convenient. Yeah, so listening to audiobooks is my new favorite hobby. I can listen to so many things when I'm driving, when I'm doing my dishes, like taking care of kid every time. Yeah, so it's audiobooks.
Yes, I'm very familiar with audiobooks, and they can be a lot of fun and take up a lot of your time too, but that's great. That's good. Do you have anything that is particularly inspirational to you?
Inspirational to me. Yeah. I really like when someone helps other people with no intention of anything in return. Like just that pure thought of helping really inspires me. When someone's trying to do this sort of things with no intention behind, it's beautiful to see that nature of people who want to help others. That really inspires me.
I can understand that. Well, thank you very much. We're going to move on, and congratulations again on becoming a contestant. Please mute your microphone and turn off your video. So can we have the next contestant, number 7, Dr. Janet Lockhart-Jones? Please unmute your video and unmute your mic and turn on your video.
Are you able to see my video?
I can see, there we go. You're coming up now. You've been pinned. So please tell us the club that you're involved in and how long you've been in Toastmasters.
Yes, so I am a member of the Vallejo Business and Entrepreneur Professionals Club, again, based in Vallejo, California. And I joined the club right before the pandemic. We had a couple of in-person meetings, and then we went virtual, and that was early 2020, I believe.
I see. That's good. That's good. Do you have any specific hobbies or interests beyond Toastmastering?
Of course. I love gardening. I love fishing, whether it's off of a lake or deep ocean outside of Maui, as an example. I love just being alone, reading, spending time with my godbabies, who are also my great niece and nephew, and just hanging out and having fun with family. I love that.
Yes, hanging out with family is a wonderful thing to do. Well, tell us what inspires you particularly in your life.
A lot of my inspiration comes from God. I grew up in the church. I'm a very spiritual person. And I've been blessed immensely. And so a lot of my inspiration comes from there. I also get a lot of inspiration from my family as well. I have a very loving family. We love spending time together. And my daughter, she's just so important to me. And she's doing just great things as a young professional woman. And so I get inspired by her, just knowing that it makes me feel good that as a parent, she is now able to stand on her own and make a path and a name for herself in this world.
That's wonderful. I think that's just absolutely spectacular. Well, Dr. Jones, we're going to move on. Thank you very much. Congratulations on being a member tonight, and especially
Thank
about
you.
telling us the story about stuttering. Appreciate that very much. Please, yes, you view. Good. Well, now we'll move on. Okay. Contestant number 8, Rahul Sansi. Please unmute and show your video. Thank you. Rahul, how long have you been in Toastmasters and what's your club? I think you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I'm a member of Watergate Toastmasters in Emeryville, and I've been a part of that one for 5 or 6 years now. But I started my Toastmasters journey maybe 10 or more than 10 years ago when I first found out about Toastmasters when I was living in Southern California. And I did it for a few years, but then I took a hiatus and then joined Emeryville again.
Wonderful. I remember Watergate. I've been in visiting that club from time to time. But tell us, do you have some specific interests and hobbies beyond Toastmastering?
Yeah, I love live music. I really like comedy. I'm going to comedy shows, stand-up comedy. I do like the outdoors. So whenever I get a chance, I like hiking, like a lot of people in the Bay Area. Yeah, those are some of my hobbies.
Excellent. Is there something you find especially inspiring to yourself?
Yeah, a good night's sleep. That really inspires me. I feel very inspired when I had a good night's sleep.
That's wonderful. And I agree with that so much, though. Okay. Do you also have perhaps a favorite quote that you like to share with us?
A favorite quote, I would say, I think my favorite quote is by Ariana Huffington. And her quote goes like this: you can sleep your way to success. So just get a good night's sleep, have a clear mind, and have motivation and energy, and that will just change your life. So that is one of my favorite quotes, I would say.
That's a great quote, and I appreciate that. Thank you. If you don't mind, I'd like to steal it. Getting a good night's sleep is great. Thank you very much for being a contestant tonight, and congratulations on your Toastmastering. Please mute your mic and turn off your video.
Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate it.
Contestant number 9, Gary Wong. Please unmute your mic and come up with your video.
Hey, Ashley.
Hello, Gary. So, Gary, tell us the club you're in and how long you've been in Toastmasters.
I belong to Speakers Forum Toastmasters number 9338, Division H. And I've been in Toastmasters for over 24 years.
24 years, a good long time. Tell us about your interests and hobbies outside of Toastmasters, perhaps.
I have 4, I call them the 4 T's. Those are things that I'm most passionate about. So the 4 T's are taxes, travel, Toastmasters, and training servant leaders.
That is very inspirational. Is that what inspires you, training servant leaders?
That's one of the 4 things, yes.
I think that's notable and great. So what is your favorite quote, Gary?
My favorite quote is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that applies to taxes, travel, Toastmasters, and training servant leaders.
I would agree with that 100%. And I thank you very much for your time and congratulations on being in this contest tonight, Gary.
Thank
Please
you.
shut off your microphone and turn off your video. It's been my pleasure to be your Toastmaster tonight. The Chief Judge has confirmed that the contestants and judges and ballot counters have completed their actions. But now it's time for me to turn the meeting over to our contest chair, Deborah Wiener. Deborah, thank you again for calling upon me to serve you and the rest of Toastmasters in this contest.
Thank you, Ashley. And thank you, all of our volunteers. I want to recognize our contestants, all of our 9 speech contestants. I'd like to recognize our Toastmaster of the evening, Ashley Harkness. I'd like to recognize our D57 speech contest chair, myself, Deborah Wiener, and my team, consisting of my co-chair, Elliot Rogers, Lisa Fairchild, and our chief judge, Hans Thoma, and his team. I'd like to recognize our Sergeant of Arms, Derrick. All of our timers, our technical hosts, David Dye and Elliot Rogers, our chief judge again, Hans Thoma, all of our ballot counters and our judges, and you know who you are. So thank you so much for making this a well-organized, fun, and phenomenal speech contest of the year. And now I'd like to ask our tech hosts if we could take a group photo and ask everyone to turn their videos on and hand it back to our technical photographer of the evening.
Yep. Are we going to announce the result or not?
Meanwhile, I think we're waiting until the final results are in from our chief judge, Hans Thoma, and his team.
They're in.
Are they in? Oh, okay. Do you want to take the photo now or afterwards?
I'm sorry, Deborah, follow the script. We have a couple different photos to take before you announce.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
We take the picture now. Everybody turn on. So 99 people here. So we just need to get 1 more people to get to 100.
Your video on, not just on mute.
Okay, let me go down. So the 49. So we need to take 2 screens to get everybody. So let's see who are on the first screen. Yeah, let's start with the first screen. Everybody. 1, 2, 3. Look into the camera always. 1, 2, 3, go. Let's go to the second one. Now, people on the first screen you do not need to smile anymore. Let's see. That second screen. 1, 2, 3, go. Here we go. So we took all the pictures for all the participants here tonight. Yeah, back over to you, Deborah.
Thank you. So we've got all the results in. Are there any time disqualifications?
No, there were not.
Okay, good. So I want to just make some announcements first about looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow at our District 57 Spring Conference and business meeting and our speech evaluation contest tomorrow evening or late afternoon. And our session opens at 4 p.m. And the contest starts at 4:30 p.m. sharp. So we hope to see you there. And now the awards. So it's time to conclude this contest will announce the winners of this evening's contest. And the winners of tonight's speech contest will go on to our District 57 International Speech Contest. The first place winner will go on to compete in the Toastmasters International Speech Contest in August in the Bahamas. And our first place winner that makes it to the first round will compete there. And then the second place winner will be a backup in case the first round winner cannot compete. So all international speech contestants, please, or district speech contestants, please turn your video on. Everyone else, please turn your video off. And our tech host will take a picture of all of our contestants.
Yes, Madam Chair. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So who is the first one? Is it Deborah? Did you turn off your camera?
And Susan, can you turn your camera off too, please?
Let me do it for her again. Stop video. Okay, so we got 9 people here. 1, 2, 3, 9, 10. Eh? How come we have 10 people? Should be 9, huh? All the contestants, smile, big smile. Great job, everybody. 1, 2, 3, go. There you go. Yep, back over to you, Deborah.
Okay, thank you, David. So I'd like to ask that as the winners are read, to ask the tech host to please spotlight each one. First, the third place winner, then the second place winner, and then the first place winner. Are you ready to send the results? Actually, I should ask, how will I be sent the results? By text?
Oh, I'm sorry. Debbie, I put it in chat for you.
Okay, let me go back to that and see it there. Okay, let's see.
Hans, can you direct message me, please? This is Sally.
Okay, I see it. Okay. So are we ready for my announcement of the winners?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to announce the third place winner of our D57 speech contest, Genevieve Navar Franklin. Genevieve Navar Franklin. Our second place winner is Mona Safari. Mona Safari. And our first place winner is Jackie Tweedie. Jackie Tweedie. Congratulations.
I'm going to take a picture.
Okay. And so everyone except the winners, please turn off your video and mute.
So Deborah, you're okay. Good, good. So let's do it. Congratulations to all 3 winners. Big smile. There you go. One more. Let's do one more. Still big smile. There you go. Great. Congratulations. Back over to you, Deborah.
Okay, let's get a big round of applause for all of our winners. And you can turn on your mics and as you give a big round of applause for our contestants. And this concludes the 2023 D57 International Speech Contest. To everyone, thank you for joining us tonight and for all our volunteers. And this contest is now adjourned, and we will leave the room open for about 10 minutes.
Leave.
And we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow also.
Woo!
Congratulations. Outstanding.
Congratulations, everybody. Great contest.
Yes.
Welcome,
nice.
Louisa.
Good job.
Some amazing speeches. Thank you so much.
Very inspirational.
It was done beautifully. Thank you for running it. So beautiful.
Yeah. Well
We
done.
ended a lot earlier than we thought we would, which is amazing.
You were
Well, I'm
so
really grateful.
organized. You were very, very organized. I mean, things were really just right on it. Amazing.
Yes.
And I'm glad it ended early. We have a heavy day tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
I'm especially grateful because I'm in the UK and it's 4:45 in the morning for me. So I'm ready for my bed. I was interested to hear about the sleep just now. I'm really looking forward to some sleep.